All right, let's get going. Welcome to the October 25th, 2021 meeting of the Rotary Club of Jamestown. As a reminder, we do ask that you wear masks whenever you are not seated. And if you will, please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, singing of our national anthem, and repeating of the four-way test. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streamed, and the rockets' red flare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Thank you. The four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? Our invocation today is by Marion Beckerink.
Let us pray. Gracious God, as we gather together as Rotarians and friends, we acknowledge that wherever we go, we are always in your presence. We pray that our actions may reflect this awareness as we seek your nearness and as we count our many blessings. In the weeks and months ahead, clothe our lives with charity. Deepen our lives with loyalty. Hallow our lives with integrity. Help us to live our lives so that they may enhance the future of those whose lives we touch. May your radiant spirit guide us and our loved ones all of our days. Amen.
Please welcome President-elect John Healy to announce our visiting Rotarians and guests.
We have two guests today, Pamela Knoll, guest of Mike Roberts. And we have Dewey Jones, guest of Mark Olson.
For those on Zoom, Mark just announced that Dewey's a potential new member. So hopefully you enjoy the day and join us soon. Rotary yours recorded today is Lynn Gruhl. Our many thanks to you and the Communications Committee for all you do to keep our club informed. Also want to thank everyone who donated to the polio and Pedal for Polio initiatives. Our club raised, I think online, $1,220 of our $1,725 goal. There is still time for us to get that to the 1725. It's early December. We have to get it to district so that district gets the $60,000 match from oh, and I forget the name of it, from the fund up in Canada. So help us drive those dollars as far as they can go. We're this close. Also want to thank Chris Anderson for joining me, and Jake Schranz and members of the Jamestown AM and Falconer Rotary clubs on a easy almost 24-mile ride. Jake took it easy on us. He promised that we were going downhill, but I felt like we kept going up another one. Well, we made it. We're here. We're standing. Yesterday was World Polio Day. We appreciate proclamations that were issued by Congressman Tom Reed, Senator George Borrello, Assemblyman Andrew Goodell, County Executive PJ Wendell, and a joint one with Chairman Chagnon and the County Executive, and Mayor Eddie Sundquist for helping us recognize this very important day. Diana Meckley informed me there will be a meeting of the Literacy Committee at noon on October 28th. I believe that's Thursday. Highway cleanup was supposed to take place this past Saturday. However, due to weather and attendance, it did not happen. So the committee is postponing the cleanup until spring. And Ruth, do you want to share about Hands on Jamestown? I see you online here.
Sure. So Hands on Jamestown will be this coming Saturday, October 30th. The registration starts at 8 until 9:30. The registration is changing to the corner of Lincoln and East 7th Street. That's the Free Methodist Church. And that way it's going to be rain or shine. So hopefully it will be shine. But if it is rain, at least the registration will be inside. So I really hope everyone who can will join us there. I will send out an email confirming the address and everything. But this Saturday, I hope people can join us because it's a Rotary sponsored hands-on Jamestown cleanup.
All right, thank you, Ruth. Are there any other announcements? Anything we need to share? Tori? Quick membership committee after today's meeting. I can leave Zoom up if any members are on Zoom as well. That takes us to Vicki McGraw, 50-50. $104, whoa. 52 to the winner. $8683. When you attend by Zoom, you don't get to win $52. Gonna need some music. I got a bell. Way to go, Vicky. Mr. Conroe, fines, thank you.
Yeah, good day, good place here. We need a lot of happy bucks today because there was absolutely nothing that I found in the Post Journal in the last week that recognized your Rotarian activity. So you must be saving it up. So maybe we should just have everybody in the room put in. I don't know. However, the Gazette has saved you a bit. The lead article, Marion, today at Jackson Center, I believe, in today's issue. And Tori, there, you're pictured in there for the YWCA Social Justice Program. Excellent. So thank you. So that's it. Well, so come on now. You know, Phil Cal is always looking for new clients, so maybe you can get your name in the paper with him. You know, but we'd rather have you in the paper for better things. So let's work on that, please. Gail, what brings you to the table?
I'm just happy to be back
And we're happy to have you back.
See you in December, guys.
Okay, see you in December. Football. Still playing football out there. The colleges are. Notre Dame. Haven't seen Mike online. But Ohio State. Must be a Ohio State fan in the room. Cincinnati. Michigan. Pittsburgh. We keep thinking of Ken Strickler. Mount Union. I suspect we have a Mount Union grad or two. Yes. Cortland. Muhlenberg. I think we have a Muhlenberg online. You can contribute online. John Carroll. Baldwin Wallace. Oberlin. Carnegie Mellon. Ohio Northern. Am I finding anyone? Case. Yeah, Vince is getting ready because he knows after I say Alfred, I'm going to say Kent State. And I'll help you out on that one too, Vince. UB. Any Buff grads here? And Miami of Ohio. So those are the schools that I know of. Syracuse, did they play football? Really? They play football? Yeah. Because,
once in a while, we win.
yeah, once in a while.
Changing it.
Uh-oh. Okay, so Mr. Chairman, I believe we're ready for Happy Bucks.
My happy buck is because I brought Tori Ergang's favorite Allied Alarm employee today, Pamela.
We're happy this weekend because on Sunday, my wife and I were down at the Warren Theater to see Mamma Mia, and starring again in that show was Matt Jones, the son of Sue and Greg Jones. He was awesome.
So I should have happy bucks for my second favorite Allied Alarm employee, Mike Roberts. No, but Dana Washer. In all honesty, my happy buck is for my husband, and he was inducted into his high school sports Hall of Fame over the weekend. And I didn't really believe it was going to happen. I thought it was sort of a made up thing he told me we were going to do until we got there. And it was a really lovely banquet and a really special night. And he lives here and he does a lot of things for me. So it was neat to be able to do something like that for him.
Since Doug needs a little help today with the bucket here, I'd like to put in a happy buck, and I'd like to challenge as many of you to join me in recognizing all the good work that Lisa Goodell does for the club as secretary. You can't believe everything she does, so join me.
And for $1 from Lisa.
My granddaughter got married.
Sure.
While you're doing that,
I'll leave 5. I'll take 15 and donate 5.
I'm gonna say something.
This one over here.
Oh, that's not, what is that thing?
This camera.
I would just say that another series, and we're working very closely about bringing one back to Jamestown for everybody to enjoy. But this week, we'll enjoy World Series activities, because the World Series starts this week. And if you don't have a team that you're rooting for, I would suggest maybe you take the Braves, because Atlanta was a parent team here in Jamestown for a pretty short period of time. So there is a bloodstream from the stadium to the World Series site for that baseball team. So if you have nobody else to root for them. Thank you.
Spent the last couple of weeks in California because my oldest granddaughter got married.
Doug, I'm going to help you out with the 20 because it's all I got. I just wanted to mention the polio project that this club supported. We gave $4,600 to the Rotary Club of Karachi to rehab a building to make a polio inoculation center. And those of you that follow the polio pandemic and cure closely realize that Pakistan and Afghanistan are the last two countries, and Karachi is right in the middle of Pakistan, and it's their worst epicenter. So they had a soft opening of that clinic over the weekend for World Polio Day, and we got the photos, and it looks like they're doing a really great job out there. So thank you all for being part of that.
You're good. All right. Well, we definitely had a happy group today. Thank you to everybody, your contributions. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear our speaker has made it today. So I will not be introducing Tori to introduce our speaker. Instead, we'll give everybody back some extra time. Thanks for coming to lunch. Thanks for being part of the meeting. And unless somebody wants to do a program. So as we volunteer, of course, we got to bring you up to do, foundation work or something.
Why don't you give us your vocational minute?
My vocational minute. Thanks, Mike. My vocational minute. I need more than a minute to do that. So, I came to my vocation like a lot of people in my career did, not expecting to, maybe not even wanting to. But it kind of, how I got into it was sort of fun. Back in, yeah.
The speaker is on her way.
Very good. Then I'll tie up some time until she gets here. I can do better. All right. So I got into insurance because of rowing. I know some of the members here in the club know that one of the things I did when I came back from college was to start the Surdyk Lake Rowing Association. And there's a fellow there by the name of Lee Stein who says, Kev, come work for me. And I'm thinking, I don't want to sell insurance. Who wants to do that? You sit at a table, you talk to people. They don't want to talk to you anymore. And that was my perception. But, an opportunity happened, and I did call him back up after he asked about 3 times. And I says, Lee, I need something to do for a couple of weeks while I figure out what I'm doing next. I was leaving Chautauqua Institution. I was working in the running their youth program during the summer and being a program assistant, and season was coming and I knew I was leaving. And so Lee welcomed me into the office and I stayed there for 7 years. So it took a minute. But what I found I liked about insurance, what I like about all the things that I do in work, it's finding different ways to help people. I always wanted to do something that gave back. And, you think of insurance, you look at Progressive, you look at Geico, you look at the what you see online, it's all about save you 10 bucks here and there, 15 minutes or less. And that's really not what we do. We're really in the risk mitigation, risk management, risk financing business. And I've gotten to see some things that, people don't get to. I've walked on rooftops, Dave Painter probably has walked the same places, but, for different reasons, he's wiring them up and I'm looking for the age of the roof. But you get a different perspective of the places you go in and out of every day, the people you get to interact with. My initial firm, LJ Stein, we specialized in oil and gas exploration production companies. Had no idea that I would ever be out on a drill site. Had no idea I would be wearing fire retardant clothing and a hard hat and, just the different things you got to see in Pennsylvania and West Virginia. My sales territory was 7 states. And it was just kind of fun to travel and meet those people, but also know that you were doing very important work. Making sure they had the right workers' compensation plans in place or disability programs. So when their employees did get hurt, and it happened, but making sure they were well taken care of. Oil and gas gets a black eye in the world. Sometimes we see the oil spills, we see the bad press, and those things do happen, unfortunately. But what I got to be a part of was the pollution liability side of things, and working with clients to help identify whether or not they'd have a program that would actually respond to help clean up a disaster. So those are the things to me that make it important. I've recently made another step in my career. In addition to doing property and casualty insurance, I'm now also working with the Alliance Advisory Group and getting into more financial planning, and again, getting to see how insurance and how financial professionals get an opportunity to guide people down, important paths. I think a lot of folks, in my age group, have never sat down with a financial planner, never really taken a look at, beyond, hearing about budgeting in school and whatnot, but how we make those decisions and why you choose to do one thing or another. There's a lot of advice out there. Admittedly, I'm still learning about it, but I'm working with a great team of people who, the firm's got 100+ years of wealth of knowledge in them. And for me, it's just one more opportunity where I get to do service through my vocation. I wasn't prepared to do the speech today, so I will leave it there. So thank you. We'll kind of set on hold for a couple minutes, as I understand the speaker is finally on her way, and we will resume at that point. So enjoy. All right, well, our speaker, Crystal Surdyk, has arrived, and I have Tori here who's going to give a brief introduction. She's just wrapping up a piece of business and then she'll be up.
I'll do Crystal's introduction slowly. Hopefully when she talks to us, she'll explain some of the urgent nature of what she does, because she's back there on 2 different phones, texting and calling and doing something that doesn't sound good. So Crystal received a degree in urban and regional planning and analysis from Buffalo State College. She has worked in Jamestown with our Department of Development since 2018. She's currently the development director, a post that she's held since January of 2020. Crystal honed a unique set of skills over more than 20 years of management experience with urban planning, public engagement, and placemaking. She remains passionate about the role that planning plays in city and community building and seeks collaboration as the key to successful, resilient, thriving communities. Crystal aspires to cultivate partnerships between policymakers, community leaders, private citizens, and change agents that are rooted in trust, and she's dedicated to preparing our communities for the effects of climate change through resiliency planning efforts. She strives to foster a sense of self-worth and civic pride in every resident. And I can say that she is an incredibly busy person. I'm not sure being the director of the Department of Development can be done any other way than to be very busy, but she certainly is. And she serves alongside a few of us in this room on the board of the Jamestown Renaissance Corporation, where she's really doing an incredible job. So, Crystal.
I apologize for my tardiness, and it's been a little crazy. Just had a phone call from the police department. I'm sure, as many of you know, our department handles housing as well as development. So when they call, we have to answer and try to get there as quickly as possible. So I was trying to find one of my code enforcement officers who was able to respond to a quick call. So I appreciate your patience, and it's just another manic Monday. So I really appreciate the invitation to join you today. You know, as I really didn't prepare anything as far as what I was planning to talk about. I was asked really just to give kind of an overview of what DOD is working on, and we could be here all day if I went through the whole list. But yeah, so I guess I think I'll start with just a quick little overview of what we do and what maybe what like a day in DOD land looks like. So as I mentioned, Department of Development is responsible for overseeing housing and code enforcement in the city. As you can imagine, that's a monumental task. We you know, the pandemic, I'll just add this. It was challenging before. I think the pandemic has really just added another layer of complication to what our department is faced with. We take a lot of pride in what we do and how we do it. And I have an amazing team. We have some new folks in code enforcement that are in training. We've had some retirements. If you all know Todd Peterson, he retired just this past July after staying an entire extra year just to help us out. So we really appreciated that, but we're kind of feeling the effects of, we have some new staff and they're doing an awesome job so far, but it's trying to train 3 people at the same time, you know, has its own layer of challenges. In addition to that, we have some complications with court. So housing court was closed for a long time, and much of what we do with housing and code enforcement is really reliant on the court. You know, we have authority to a certain point, but beyond that, notice a violation and an appearance ticket, it's really up to a judge to enforce any of our code enforcement issues. So, court was closed for a year and a half. So, that's been challenging. Our goal is always compliance, and we don't really like to, court is never the first option. It was never the first option prior to the pandemic, and it's still not the first option. We really try to work towards getting compliance to any of those code enforcement issues in advance of issuing an appearance ticket. But again, during a pandemic and a time when everyone knows there's no court, compliance has been very challenging. We are not technically social workers, but there's so much social work that goes into what our code enforcement team does every day. And so it's really, they wear a lot of hats. So anyway, housing is really important. We're looking at American Rescue Plan funds and allocating a certain portion to our housing initiatives. I'll just touch on a couple of things that we have in the works. And I'm sure that none of you are strangers to some of the housing issues that we have. So we're looking at some different ways that we can implement some policy changes. So we've got a nuisance ordinance, which we're working on beefing up and improving to give us a little bit more ability to address some of the problem properties that we have. We're also looking at a vacant property ordinance so that, all of these vacant properties that we're having to deal with, there's some level of accountability to property owners that doesn't currently exist. That will be for residential as well as commercial. We're also looking at, we have a county auction. We haven't had a county auction in the last 3 years. So we're looking at ways to work with the county to implement a pre-auction inspection that will hopefully help deter some of those speculators who tend to come in and buy up a bunch of properties at the auction for next to nothing and don't live here, don't live in the city, don't live in the country. We really want to encourage local people to buy properties, people who have ties here, and to deter some of those out of town, out of state folks from speculating on our community. And then we're also looking at just some other internal ways to hold property owners more accountable. So there's a lot of irons in the fire, and we're working. We'll be rolling out some information. We'll have a public participation period on these new ordinances and ordinance changes. So just to make you aware, and I encourage, there's a lot of information out there, and there's a lot of, I think there's a question of, what are they doing to take care of housing? And we're doing a lot, and I encourage you to call and talk to us, call me directly, and learn about some of the initiatives that we are taking on, and ways that you can help. I'll get off the housing soapbox here in a second, but if you have a complaint or if you see something, we do have a mechanism to report complaints online. You can call our department anytime, 8 to 5. And we get a ton of complaints all day, every day, but we encourage you to report those complaints, because if we don't have them documented, we can't address them. So I'll just leave that there, and I'm willing to take any questions, but housing is much a piece of economic development as the fun development projects are. So, so development wise, yes, go ahead. Extremely. I'm getting to that now. You're setting it up. So yeah, so on to development and the fun stuff. So citywide, we're responsible for really the way I see it is working together with all of our community partners, local foundations, organizations like the JRC, to identify those development opportunities and find ways to attract new developments, support existing businesses. And, there are a number of different ways that all happens. We have the Jamestown Local Development Corporation. So that's so I'll back up a second. The Department of Development is part of JURA, which is the Jamestown Urban Renewal Agency. We're not actually a city department, even though we kind of are. And so JURA is a nonprofit, and that's who actually employs me and my team. So JURA is the administrative body, and then the JLDC is the lending arm of the overall organization. So the JLDC essentially was established to administer loans and some grant monies. We also, through JURA, we administer the city's HUD funding, which is part of that addresses housing. And then the other part of it is the community development block grant funding that we receive every year. So each year we put together an annual action plan and establish the different programs and activities that will be spent on economic development through CDBG. So our annual action plan is available on our website. We're actually getting ready to start our new annual action planning process. And through that, and meeting with stakeholders as part of that, and holding public meetings, we identify different priorities each year, and then we determine which programs that we're going to fund with those monies. So things like we have a downtown business improvement grant that's available. Previously, it focused on facade improvements only, and it was limited to that. We did expand that to include like essential business or building systems. So things like major plumbing and electrical and things that a business needs in order to actually do business. The grant is able to fund those types of things now that it wasn't able to do before. So we're always looking at different ways that we can modify or evaluate progress and evaluate how our grant funding is working for us and for our businesses. We focus a lot on downtown. That's the economic driver of our community. Our downtown works the hardest for us overall. So we do focus a great deal on downtown. But we also focus a lot on other parts. As some of you may know, we actually are in the process of adopting what's called the Chattacoin River Business Strategic Plan, something like that. There's a whole acronym for it too. So we presented that to Planning Commission last week. We did have a public meeting right on the waterfront by the Comedy Center. So it really focuses on development along the waterfront. This plan in particular is focused mainly on the basin area and different ways that we can activate the river, whether it's additional kayak launches. There's some really great components to it, activating the park itself, with yard games and swings, I believe is part of it, and some gardens and different things to draw people down to the water, which also, given its proximity to downtown, it's right in the heart of the city, right? So it's in alignment with our local waterfront revitalization program, which was adopted in 2016, I believe. So, it's really giving us a guidebook to developing the waterfront in a way that is in alignment with our environmental goals, our economic goals, and really making the waterfront accessible to everyone. I don't know, my relationship with the water hasn't always existed. I think, you can probably all remember a time when you couldn't actually see it or didn't really know that it was there or that it was as beautiful as it is. So this really, I think, celebrates the beauty and the work that's been done over the last couple of decades. And I'm sure most of you have used the Riverwalk. And if you haven't, you need to right now. It's a beautiful, wonderful gem that we have. And we're really fortunate to have the Chattaquin River that runs right through the heart of the city and this Riverwalk that is attached to it. So, and the water is a huge economic driver. So if you look at, communities like Buffalo and what they've done with their waterfront, it's incredible to see the activity, and a lot of that development started with a couple of plastic, colorful Adirondack chairs that were put out next to the water. And next thing you knew, there were people that were asking to rent space or have a picnic or, do something in that space. And it started to draw more and more people. And now you have Canal Side, which is, if you haven't been there, it's an incredible opportunity to be on the water. So I kind of mentioned American Rescue Plan. I'm sure you're all very familiar with the $28 million that the city has been granted. We are working on figuring out how we're going to allocate that. Tori and the Community Foundation graciously helped the city with some public listening sessions and took the information back that we heard in those sessions and put together a really great synopsis of what the community really has identified as priorities for those funding monies. And, I just want to say that it's something that the city takes very seriously and is really looking at all of the ways that we can make that investment go as far as possible. $28 million sounds like a lot, and it is. It's a huge opportunity for us, and it's probably not one that we'll ever get again. So we really want to make sure that we are being as fiscally responsible as we can, and we're making investments in a way that we'll see a return for generations to come. So, there's still, council is still listening and still taking time to review some of the proposals that have been given, and there's still a lot of work left to do. So I encourage anyone to reach out to the mayor's office, reach out to my department, reach out to your council person and share any ideas or thoughts that you might have on how those funds should be spent. But I want to reiterate that it's something that we do take, with the utmost sincerity, and we'll be working hard for a long time to put the final plan together, but also then to implement. And as you may know, we have a short, what seems like a long time frame, but really it's a very short time frame and to spend those dollars. So yeah, I know if there's anything else you would like to hear about. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're doing Jamestown, right? So that's
Yes.
like a mile by a mile, or I don't know.
Well, Jamestown is 9 square miles.
So in the downtown area, you mentioned, who are the businesses and the entities that have the biggest financial impact?
So there are a lot. So some of our partners would be the Gebby Foundation and the Jamestown.
I'm talking about private enterprise, not foundations. Who are the businesses? What's making our community work downtown right now? Let's shop,
Mhm.
what's making money for the city? Where are the opportunities?
Sure. Well, you know, to be honest, it's the small businesses that are having the biggest impact. Whether it's the restaurants or it's the retailers or it's the service industry. You know, there's a lot of different.
We have manufacturing downtown.
Right in downtown. Blackstone, yep, certainly.
What else do we have downtown?
We have, and I can't think of the name of it, on First Street. Somebody help me out that makes the bats. Thank you. Let's see. Oh, well, they're not manufacturing, but
There's a chair company.
yep.
There's a chair company, right?
I don't think it's downtown. So if you want to talk about manufacturing, I mean, and we have been talking with our manufacturers. We've actually been holding some business roundtables. So we've been engaged with Artone, Dawson Metal, Coalcraft, you know, trying to reach out to all of those manufacturers to hear what they need, what their needs are. Yep. So, and we certainly haven't gotten to all of them, but we have been trying. Our business roundtables were, I would say, not as well attended as we would have liked, but we have reached out to individual businesses and set up, you know, one-on-one meetings with them. And we encourage any of them to reach out to us and schedule meetings to just let us know what they need.
Yeah, I was just curious, because I wonder where Jamestown's money comes from. Does it come from manufacturing? Does it come from retail? I know it also comes from taxes on residential and from. That's where most of Jamestown's money comes from, besides property taxes.
Yes.
Manufacturing or retail?
It's some manufacturing and our tax base, our yep. Go ahead. Hi.
I was just wondering if there's any update on the two bank buildings across from each other on Second Street. I know Luke had to step back. Is there any update or anything? I mean, they're huge buildings.
We are in discussion with Mr. Duke. He is trying to sell them. We actually met with his real estate agent last week, I think it was. We've connected them with some different potential developers to have those conversations. You know, our hope is that those conversations, right, we can do the connecting, but we can't do the negotiating. So we're hopeful that Mr. Duke and his agent will take care of that. They've kept us posted periodically, but yeah, the window is closing. So something's going to happen. Back there?
I thought I heard Tori say something about climate change, resiliency on the radar screen. What's that?
It means a lot of things. I think first and foremost, we as a city need to look at, and this is probably going to take a grant of some kind to be able to do it, but as part of a comprehensive planning process and ultimately, I think a resiliency planning process, which would take a look at the city as a whole and make some, I guess, identify some priorities and some opportunities to really consider climate change and make some meaningful, take on some meaningful initiatives that could really help us limit our carbon footprint. And I think that it means a lot of different things, whether it's making sure that we're implementing green infrastructure projects in streetscape, projects, or it's meeting with businesses and trying to help them, support them in some way to decrease their carbon footprint. It means a lot. And I think that really we need to start with resiliency planning. And, I think that besides the obvious climate, change impacts that we're seeing all over the world and certainly the country, we're in a really great place. We have access to fresh water. We don't see the really dramatic impacts of climate change like some of the other areas of the country. So, besides the actual climate planning, there's potential refugee planning that we need to do to make sure that we have infrastructure to receive climate refugees who may be coming from those places like California, where there's wildfires, or the Florida coast, where there's decreasing waterfront, right? So I think it means a lot of different things, but really an initial, I think, evaluation of where we are and where we need to be, and then what are the steps to get there. And then you, sir.
How much are you working on with the IDA and?
Oh, yes.
Development?
Yep.
Further info on what
Sure. So we partner on our JLDC and then the CCIDA. We work together almost every grant or loan application we do. We determine if it's appropriate for it to be just a JLDC, just a CCIDA, if there needs to be a partnership. We talk every week, several times a week. I talk with each one of their different departments. Any grants that we have available or they have available, we make sure that we communicate that. The Chattacoin River Business Strategic Plan, we actually did that in partnership with them. In fact, the Gebby Foundation and CCIDA really led that project. So we're looking for every opportunity that we can to partner with them. Big project, small project, it doesn't matter. It's really about communicating and making sure that we're on the same page. Yes.
Yeah, Aldi's. And I think it's very. 1 month, it's like $1,200. At Aldi, 4 weeks, it's about $1,000 or more.
Yes.
Don't want to lose it. Got to get that taken care of.
Try 30. Yes. Yes. We've actually been working with the land bank to identify ways that we can. So demolition is not my first choice ever. If something can or should be saved, we really do try to do that. But there is, I think, something called strategic demolition, right? So when we receive the county's auction list, we'll work with the land bank to identify which properties may fall within a certain area or neighborhood that makes sense for us to work together to demolish. And then we're looking at opportunities to put that land back to use in some way, whether it's, infill housing or it's, we don't really know yet because we don't have that list yet, but it's absolutely something that we are going to work with them on. I personally haven't had the opportunity to go through that process yet with them. So I'm actually really excited to get that list and roll up our sleeves and put some ideas and plans together. So, but yeah, that's a very good point. Yes. Mhm. Yes. You can complain as many times as you want. And actually that helps us really reinforce the case with the court. You know, the more documentation that we have, that strengthens our case. Sometimes it takes us a while to get them to court. They may not show up. The judge might adjourn it. There's all kinds of different reasons. And then once you get the court day and you've got everybody there and yes, I'm finally going to get my order to demolish, the judge may say, you promised to rehab this house and I'll give you another 30 days or 60 days or whatever. So it really comes down to, honestly, the documentation and the complaints are, as much as, you know, we can be inundated with them, they're important. We need to have them so that we can document them. You know, it's once we get to court and we've issued a notice of violation and we've let the judge know we've got our court date, we're requesting an order to demolish. It's up to him. So. Did that answer? Yeah, okay. All right. I may not.
Crystal, thank you for being here today. I know you had a rough schedule and you saved John Healy and I from having to get up here and dance because they were threatening me to get the songbooks out yet. You're fine. One of Rotary's major international programs is the eradication of polio. We are down to just 2 countries in the world where polio exists, Pakistan and Afghanistan. In honor and thanks of your presentation to our club today, we'll make a donation in your name that will vaccinate 4 children who will never experience polio in their life. So thank you for being here. While I was sitting over there, I'm sorry, I was reading my email, but I got a great email from Sherry Krull. Rotary Youth Exchange District Chairperson Jill Norton has announced that the District 7090 Youth Exchange Program is planning on starting up again for the 2022 to 2023 school year.
It's okay.
And with that, remembering that this year's Rotary International theme is serve to change lives, caring for and serving others is the best way to live because it changes not only other people's lives, but also our own. Thank you. We are adjourned.
Okay, let me get out of here.
Did you put those other coats away in there?
Yeah.